This video is sponsored by Your Turn Games, a retailer of Redemption CCG with various products, such as singles, sealed product, and great deals on bundles like battle boxes and grab bags. They also have pre-built decks, such as Challenger decks in the $55 range, Contender decks in the $80 to $95 range, and Champion decks in the this deck just placed at Nationals last year dollar range. They also have card supplies to keep you caught up on all of your gaming needs, and at no cost to you, they have Redemption resources such as the latest Redemption news, rules, tournaments that are coming up, and Redemption content such as this. So head on over to yourturngames.biz today, and a big thank you to them for supporting this content.
All right, we're live. Welcome to another Jaden Talks. Wait a second, that's not the right intro. What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Redemption with Jaden. We are going to be doing a little bit of a Tyler Talks kind of episode video today because my computer is still not good, not working properly. And it's looking like the solution at this point is just to reformat it, which I don't really want to do until I get all my stuff off of there, which I haven't had a chance to do yet. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that. Hopefully I can get to that by next week, but also next week I'm going to be in the process of moving. My brother and I bought a house, which it's the brother that most of you know, or a lot of you know, maybe not most of you at this point. I don't know. He's kind of been a little like in and out lately, but anyways, yeah, we bought a house. We're moving in, or well, we're closing next week. So, yeah, that's going to make making a video potentially difficult. So, just giving you a heads up for that. But it also means that videos in the future are going to be like less crowded, maybe just more creative. There will be other things going on. I can move my chair back further, and I can, we might even have like a table set up for doing more live games and stuff. Like, it might be a little bit more like the tournament recordings that I've done. Have like a little office set up, and it's gonna be great. I'm excited about it. Hopefully you guys are somewhat excited about it from a content standpoint as well. So anyways, all that to say, video next week is tentative, so we'll see what happens there. And also this week we're doing there's no game this week. I'll just put that out there right now. So if you came here looking for a game, I'm sorry. I'm probably not even gonna do like the Tyler Talks kind of thing where he, does like a goldfish at the end of it, because, well, I mean, if you want to see this deck in action, I guess there are 4 live games from the Minnesota State tournament, which is this past weekend, and that's what this video is going to be. It's kind of going to be a recap of the tournament, going over the deck I used in Type 1 2-player, and then if you want to see some gameplay with it, you can go watch the live stream if you haven't already. Also, I'm talking a little bit quieter because my niece and my nephew are asleep right above me right now, so I want to not be super loud. Anyways, yeah, Minnesota State last weekend. It was a lot of fun. Had a really great time. We had a pretty decent turnout. I think we had 13 different players altogether, maybe 14. We had, in the morning, we had 10 people playing Type 1 2-player, and then in the afternoon, we had 11 people playing Booster Draft, and then 2 others playing Sealed Deck. And then we had, so let's see, those 11, those 2, and then we had one other guy who played Type 1 2-player but didn't play in the afternoon. So I guess, yeah, we had 14 total distinct players between all the categories. We haven't done, there weren't any, we didn't do teams yet, and we didn't do Type 2 player. We just didn't have the time / like interest. So have to catch up on those. we can get some people together. And in the meantime, we'll talk about what we did get to do. So Type 1 2-player, we had, it was really fun. We had a few people from Iowa come up. We had one guy from Wisconsin who came out. So we had a fairly good turnout. We had a few newer players, a few returning players. So it was a pretty good mix. And we played 4 rounds. And I was doing fairly well in the first 3 rounds. So I mean, the plan was just to record the top table for each round, and then I was just going to start with my own to make sure, like, or the first round I was going to do my own game because I wanted to make sure that the recording, like live stream and everything was doing all right, that it was, working and everything. And it was, doing fine. I ended up winning the first game, and well, I won the first 3 games. Sorry, a little bit of a spoiler. And so that means I was at the top table for the whole tournament. So if you get bored of watching me play, well, I guess then maybe that's not the live stream for you. But I guess if that's the case, then this channel probably isn't for you. So, anyways, if you're here, that means you probably enjoy watching me play, at least to some degree. Um, so hopefully you guys enjoy watching those. And let's go ahead and talk about the deck a little bit. Now, the problem with not being, I won't spoil the last game for you though. I'm gonna leave that one out there in case you haven't watched it yet and you haven't seen the results from the state tournament, which I don't think um, anyone has really talked about yet. I'm sure that it will be on the threshing floor next week, but since John didn't have an episode this week, then no results yet. So, go watch that before the threshing floor comes out. And let's see, what else was I gonna? Yeah, I just want to say, I won't say whether I won or I lost. Just gonna say, give you this piece of advice. Soul Gen is important. We're going to talk about that with the deck, and that's not necessarily it wasn't necessarily a huge problem with this deck, but it's definitely something that should be addressed. And 2, don't be greedy. That's just it's a biblical principle. It's a good thing in general because eventually it'll catch up to you, and it's also a good principle for redemption sometimes. Sometimes it's good to be greedy and be competitive, but sometimes it'll come back to bite you. So, anyways, I guess I can talk a little bit about the rest of the tournament before we're doing that. The booster draft was really fun. We drafted um, 4 box packs, so and then 1 foil pack. So we did priests as the foil pack. We did TXP as one of the box packs. Then we did um, Fall of Man. Pretty sure it was Fall of Man. And then I know we did Prophecies of Christ and we did Gospel of Christ. I think we just skipped Lineage because it was like not the best set for like a multi-set draft, I guess, because there are only certain brigades in it. I mean, like you could say the same sort of thing about Priest because it's so heavily on teal and orange, but that was kind of just a filler pack anyway. So yeah, we did those 5 packs. Means we had 65 cards to build with. And we played multiplayer because that's more fun, I think, in general. I don't know. With Booster Draft, it just seems more fun. Like, if people know what they're doing, it's more fun, I think. We had some pretty fun games. I drafted a Burial from GOC, which honestly kind of sucks for for Booster Draft and multiplayer. I mean, it'd be really good if we did 2-player, but it's just like, it's a good way to make everyone dislike you, but it's a draft, so I mean, like, you're not gonna not take it, right? And so the first game we ended up timing out because the last 2 rounds nobody could really attack or do anything because there were no lost souls on the table. The last round, since I didn't live stream it or anything or record it, sorry, my shadows are going to move around because I talk with my hands sometimes. Um, because we didn't live stream it or anything, I'll spoil what happened. So, Zach Gilbaugh was up from Iowa, then Josh Knitt, Justin, myself. We were at the table because Josh and I tied in our game for first in the first round, and then and Zach and Justin both won their tables in the first round. So it was us four at the top table, I guess. The second round we only played 2 rounds. That's all we had time for, and um, it was all pretty close. I had Burial in my hand, and Zach was attacking me for the win for number 5, and I think I think Josh had some souls on the table, but I think I was just the best attack at that point because even though I had Nebuchadnezzar in my territory, Zach of course had a Daniel the Apocalyptus that he could attack with, so he attacked me, and I was like, all right, well I've got burials, I don't have to worry too much about it. Like, what's the worst that could happen? I'm just gonna throw some evil characters out there and make him play something. So I blocked the Wandering Spirit. I banded to Josh's Trembling Demon, and made it a stalemate so that Zach would have to play something. Of course, what other card could he have other than the first sacrifice right here? There's a little bit of a delay with the audio. That's kind of annoying. Uh, Seems like it's okay with my voice. Anyways, he plays that, and I'm like, please underdeck an evil character in battle. Please underdeck an evil character in battle. No, he goes for the hand because he's got another battle winner. So he underdecks the burial in my hand and has a bow of battle or whatever that Prophecies of Christ red green weapon is, and plays that. He has bigger numbers. I have nothing else to play, and so he wins the game. He wins the category, and once again, I mean, it was kind of a lesson in being greedy. So it's just a lose-lose for me. On the bright side, though, I don't think I was going to be able to make a rescue on my turn anyway. Justin would have been next. He can't remember if he was at 3 or 4, but if I played Burial, then I would have underdecked all Lost Souls, and Justin wouldn't have had anyone to rescue after anyway, unless he had some Soul Gen. And then I had an Imprisoned Prophet in my hand, but I don't think I didn't have anything for my Deborah, or actually not. My Deborah in territory was paralyzed. I would have drawn my other Deborah, but because the one in my territory was paralyzed, I wouldn't have been able to add my other one to battle with Imprisoned Prophet, and I don't think I had like anything else that I could have attacked with. I don't even know if Deborah would have been good enough. So I didn't feel too bad because I don't think I would have won on my turn anyway. But I would have kept the game going, and if the Lost Souls kind of waited a while to come back out, then maybe it would have been okay eventually. Maybe I would have gotten there. But that's how it goes sometimes. That do be how it goes sometimes. Yeah. Anyways, um, let's talk about the deck. Let's yeah, I think basically what I was thinking going into the tournament was like, okay, Ghosties was kind of fun. I'm sorry, gotta cut that part out. Ghost Exilics was kind of fun to play last week against Chad. That was last week, right? I'm pretty sure. Um, but I was like going to start building it and changing my current deck, which is more or less what you see in front of it, my kind of basic post-exilic deck. And I was just like, I don't really want to change it. Like the offense, I didn't really want to like move anything around with the offense. I like having Haggai in there with Judge's Seat in the reserve and like just some of the other stuff like David and like I just didn't feel like Ghost Exilix was really the way to go. I didn't really see a huge need for Jairus. Um, we still got Amazing Faith and Teaching in Parables in here. Like those are both really good cards that aren't gospel character specific. Also Soul Gen. Look at that on the special ability there, or the star ability there. But I just really like the offense the way that I had it for the most part. I think I maybe switched a couple things around since I last played this in, I think an online tournament is when probably last time it was on the channel. But yeah, that I mostly just wanted to keep the same. I really like having both First Sacrifice and Teaching in Parables in the main deck, and I think that that's probably a good, like, I think that's probably the right play. Um, I did move, or I did switch a couple things around, like took out Zerubbabel's Temple, took out Majestic Heavens, took out Feast of Booths, which those are some pretty important soul gen pieces right there. But yeah, I think I took out Matan the Defender for Jeremiah. I think Matan goes back in reserve for, like, I think I don't. I'm just not really sold on the Jephthah's daughter thing. I never ended up using it on Saturday, and I just don't think that it's necessarily worth it. Like I've got enough other stuff to deal with things. I've got Joshua in here as a judge for Judge's Seat, and I think Judge's Seat does, yeah, and I mean it does half of what Jephthah's daughter does, basically, and it doesn't only hit evil characters. So a little bit more flexibility there. And I think that Matan goes in reserve in one of, or goes in reserve on one of these slots, and I think maybe another battle winner does too, because I was kind of noticing that, like, ideally you're kind of aggressive enough with the hand control that you don't really care what your opponent has to defend, um, because it just won't work. Like they won't have a character to play it on, or they just won't have enhancements to back up their characters, or that's kind of the whole point with the hand control, is that uh, you're deciding what options they have to block, and you're trying to make sure that they aren't going to stop your options to attack. So that's kind of the goal, but sometimes it's tricky, especially against characters like Red Dragon and King of Tyrus that can kind of stand by themselves, don't really need a whole lot of enhancement backup, where another battle winner would come in handy. So I think that that's probably what goes in the other slot here. So I think Matan and then another battle winner in the spot for Jephthah. I haven't thought about what that battle winner should be yet. Maybe. Hmm, I got nothing. Oh, we'll think about that. Maybe, yeah, you guys can leave some comments, some suggestions. What good battle winners would go in here? Um, star cards would probably be the most efficient or the easiest to get out because of, Emmaus Road. Um, but I mean, we've got options to get other stuff from reserve. We've got Book of the Law, we've got Zerubbabel's Plumb Line. So, it doesn't have to be a star card. Just makes the most sense if it is. Um, let's see. I think the cross was in here already before, and that's something that I think is good for this deck because I really like attacking the opponent's hand, deciding what all they have available to use, and if you just leave them with a handful of dominance and activate the cross, that's pretty good. I just feel like that's strong enough to merit using the cross, and just hope that they don't have options to like negate your neutral cards or something, because then they can just unleash all their dominance. But yeah, I really like it in this deck. I don't think it belongs in every deck. It's not something that I think like a majority of competitive decks will be using necessarily. It does have a little bit of non-synergy with like Amazing Faith. I mean, Amazing Faith is really great to toss if needed, but it's just a good card in general to um, be able to use as it is. Gets her, or it's a good answer to Red Dragon and King of Towers. Those cards that are difficult. I guess I could put Impartial Judgment back in reserve. Some of you may have noticed that Impartial Judgment is no longer in the deck anywhere. That was kind of a judgment call, haha, of just being like, well, teaching in parables and the first sacrifice and becoming prince, like, and Eliud, like, we're just attacking the opponent's hand so much that I don't know that impartial judgment is really even necessary, which seems a little strange to be saying, but it shouldn't feel like it's really needed. Like, it would just be an overkill. And if I want to keep the cross active, then I don't really, want dominance that I feel like I have to play during battle quite as much, such as Ride On Victoriously / Awesome Things. And so I could take that out and instead put in Vain Philosophy, which is going to, help with the hand control aspect. And I think it's just a really strong dominant in the meta right now because it can, block very well, and especially with Simon and Pontius Pilate when you're choosing the hero, and Terrifying Beast, Domitian, and Entrapping Pharisees when you're taking out their hero, and then you can limit their options to instead. So yeah, I think that Vain Philosophy is very good, especially in this type of defense where you're already attacking the hand, putting pressure on them, and then it also disrupts other combos and things your opponent does. Like, I mean, if they're doing Simon AOC, you can play Vain Philosophy to underdeck the AOC after they choose your blocker that gives them initiative to block, and then maybe they don't have anything else to play, and Simon just dies. You win the battle. Awesome. Or at worst, you at least don't let them use the battle winner, and that's going to take out the rest of your defense. So, speaking of the defense, that was also something that I was like, okay, with the Ghost Exilics deck, yeah, I was running Philistines, and I feel like that's a pretty good defense for the current meta. And so I was going to try to just jam that in here, and I started getting that together, and I was just like, you know what? I really like the gray in this. Like, I mean, I think the hand control on both sides just works so well together, and like the offense, like, it can suffer a little bit if they have Storehouse, but Teaching in Parables doesn't really care. Teaching in Parables can negate it, and then it negates it for the entire turn, so you can do the other hand control stuff you need to do during that turn. And then on their turn, their Storehouse turns back on, and Entrapping Pharisees and Domitian and Terrifying Beast all become that much better. So I like it the way I like it the way it is. Plus, I wanted to try out Pontius Pilate because he seems pretty good. He's pretty strong. I'll go ahead and read him, I guess, because you guys don't have the card floating over here like you normally do when I'm on Lackey, so sorry about that. Hopefully you can just have Lackey open and either read or recognize most of the cards and look them up as needed. But Pontius Pilate says, if blocking, withdraw heroes except one. If you control, come on, focus. If you control another Roman, you may exchange opponent's hero in battle with a hero from opponent's territory, discard pile, or reserve. Cannot be interrupted. So that's going to be something to pay attention to if you're using this deck. We've got a few cards in here that let you look at your opponent's hand or reserve, such as Bane's Prophecy, Solomon's Dream, Emmaus Road. You can look at their reserve with that star ability if you want to. I mean, I would prioritize looking at their hand because that's mostly what this deck is going to deal with, but since there are 3 of them, you might get 2 of them at a time, or one right after the other, and you can check out their reserve and make sure that there are some like good options for exchanging Pontius Pilate. I do think that maybe Babel should be in here because Pontius Pilate plus Babel seems pretty good, especially when people are running heroes like Angel from the Sun and Angel of the Winds. Then you can use Pontius Pilate to bring them into battle, and then if they're prevented, then they're just stuck with an Angel in battle that they probably don't have enhancements for. So, and since Pontius Pilate goes to discard pile, you can just keep on doing that over and over again. You cannot be interrupted, so they can't do 3 woes on that. Um, so yeah, I really like Pontius Pilate. I think he's a strong card. He's kind of like the medium in Endor, but um, doesn't need like quite as much uh, help, I guess. I don't know. I guess medium doesn't really need help. Like it's CBP if Saul is in play. Otherwise, it does pretty much the same thing. Doesn't go to reserve, but I think it's just in a better brigade. Brown and pale green are both decent, but they're not like amazing. And so I think that Pontius Pilate just fits better in general. He's also Roman, which is sweet because we're actually just main decking Romans Destroy Jerusalem. It was gonna go in reserve, but then I was like, well, I don't really have that many characters to play wages on, so let's just put it in main deck. And I didn't really regret that because that's another reason not to run any of the gospel heroes in here. And also a reason to cut Zerubbabel's temple, and we're not playing any other fortresses. So I think that that's a pretty strong play. Like even if you're just getting rid of your opponent's fortresses, that seems decent. We can also just toss it with the cross. That seems pretty good. Only downside with running it in the main deck is that it's 7 brigades for Matthew, which isn't great, but yeah, I don't know. That might be a reason to try to get it in reserve and then have some way to take it out. I mean, I guess like Denarius, but that doesn't seem very good because then your opponent knows you have it, and yeah, it's just not quite as exciting when you get to pull it off and blow up their offense. And yeah, it's cool, especially with like Pontius Pilate, because you can exchange for a hero that's going to give you initiative, which I mean, will be a lot of heroes because if you exchange their hero in battle with a hero even that makes it mutual or stalemate, you'll still get initiative because their hero was the last character to enter battle or to be played in battle. I'm fairly confident that's the way it works. Someone can call me out on that if I'm wrong. So look in the comments below. See if anyone has called me out on it. But I believe that since even though I'm the one bringing your hero into battle, your hero is still being played on your side of the battle. So if it's mutual or stalemate, then it would be my initiative. Um, Pretty sure. So yeah, on the defense, we're pretty much just trying to win battles through strong character abilities. So Emperor Nero can hopefully block a lone hero once in a while. Especially combined with Terrifying Beast, that's pretty good. Uh, Domitian and Entrapping Pharisees, like you're probably familiar with how they operate in this deck. We're just trying to grind out value and hope that they don't have ways to. I hope that they don't have too many resources that they can go through in order to instead those abilities, and really makes your opponent think about what they are trying to, I guess, what they can afford to lose. Also trying out Sorrow of Mary in here, which kind of makes me want to run False Leaders as well, especially because like False Leaders plus Fear of Man seems decent, like as just a way to get battle winners out, and like maybe that would be good enough for Romans Destroy Jerusalem, but I don't know. That's to be determined in future iterations, probably, possibly. Pretension is nice. It can be a battle winner, and it can draw some cards. Balaam's Prophecy, of course, is fits in nicely with Jeshua, and that's one of the other reasons I wanted to stick with gray. I was going to try to fit like Philistine Soothsayers and um, maybe Philistine Diviners. I don't know. Maybe Aliens, the black and pale green one, basically just to be able to squish Balaam's Prophecy into the defense with Philistines. But I was like, nah, let's just stick with gray. Because not only that, well, okay, we also get Unsuccessful, which is an evil enhancement in this deck, pretty much always. Delivered is a good enhancement in this deck, pretty much always. So not only does sticking with the gray and the Romans, like the New Testament stuff, let us not worried, or I guess not worry too much about like splashing for Balaam's prophecy, but also it the Golgotha, like it feels more justified having Golgotha in there, because like having it in there only for a spot to activate the cross feels kind of bad. But without Zerubbabel's Temple, like I really want the cross to not be taking up my artifact slot. Like Denarius, I want to do early, and then basically my artifact slot will just be deciding between Book of the Law and Golden Calf, and then the cross will just sit on Golgotha, and I think that that's perfectly okay. Um, I also am, as you can see, not running Meek Colossals anymore, so High Places is also out of the picture, which means I don't have a spot for Golden Calf. So my artifact slot is going to be highly uh, coveted, I guess. I don't know. And so having Golgotha in the deck and providing more value than just a place to hold the cross, I think is important. So yeah, I'm not running me Colossals. Let's talk about that. What Colossals am I running? Covet and Hopper, both important for Soul Gen, and I think both like they're fast enough Soul Gen to keep up with this deck. Like Majestic Heavens just felt like it was a tad bit slow. Darkness I think is important to help get the defense set up, but that might be one that could be cut. I don't know. Distressed I think is important for yeah, this is Darkness, by the way. Sorry, it's kind of hard to tell with them layered like that. So Distressed I think is important just to stop my opponent from setting up characters in territory that I don't like quite as easily. Exiles to get some more uses out of any of my enhancements, but mainly Teaching in Parables in the first sacrifice. Also can grab Oath of Purity from reserve, which can be important. That might also be something that needs to be reworked. Like otherwise, I think right now the only way I have to reliably get Oath of Purity out of reserve is Book of the Law, and uh, I mean, like obviously Zerubbabel's Plumb Line, but or I guess maybe Delivered on Foreign Wives, but yeah, it's just not quite as reliable as I would like. Um, so maybe Oath of Purity swaps with something in the deck in the reserve. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, Exiles can get that out, and I wasn't too disappointed with drawing it on the first turn. And I think it was only one of the games of the tournament, or like, um, yeah, it happens, but it's I don't think it was that big of a deal. I think it definitely paid off more in the games where I didn't draw it in the first round, and I got to reuse one of the hand control enhancements. So then I also have some soul protection lost souls with orphans and thorns, and some speed with prosperity. I'm not really doing anything with lost souls now because I'm not doing the meek stuff. My defense doesn't really bother with my lost souls, and so having orphans and thorns is, I think, a good tech for Sheol, because Sheol definitely hurts this deck because I do a lot of searching, and so we got to keep those lost souls on the table. There might be an argument for like if Oath of Purity does get back into the deck, like not caring quite as much about Sheol because I can bounce my opponent's evil characters and take away their unity, and then I can run Sheol myself because I'm basically in gray unity here. Of course, Deceiver is not really going to be on the table much, so there's an argument for that as well. But without wages, I didn't want to have Sheol in reserve, and we're already kind of tight on slots here, so yeah, that's something to consider though. We'll see how that goes. I do like having Jehoshaphat in reserve here because I don't really need him in the first round to bounce my heroes. I can just start out with Zerubbabel the way he is, not have to bounce him. If I do need to bounce somebody, I've got Ezra in the main deck for that option. Like if I need to play Zerubbabel as Meek to search with Solomon's Dream or something, then that's an option. But I like having Joshvat in reserve. He's kind of like the turn 2 option with David, and then Joshua is the turn 3 option. Basically, just deal with whatever counter is needed. And maybe with Joshua in reserve like that, then the Lost Souls dealing with Sheol aren't quite as important either. But I don't know. I like the fact that they take away some of the options that my opponent has available. So if they have, Firefoxes in their hand, along with some other battle winner, I can just not worry about Firefoxes and underdeck their other battle winner with, got this bug that's just crawling on my cards and I want to squish them on. All right. Miss Lackey a little bit, which is weird. I like physical cards, but okay. Where were we? We were talking about Sheol and whether or not it should be in here. Joshua definitely deals with it fairly well, and he's pretty easy to get to. Problem with going to Joshua on turn 2 is that he likes to exchange for Jehoshaphat, which if Jehoshaphat's in reserve, then that doesn't work quite as well. But I don't know, Joshua could also just exchange for like Eliezer, and then Eliezer could ban to Lyud or a Meek Hero. It's not quite as good. I don't know. I mean, I guess I could do Zerubbabel, Haggai, Ezra, Jeshua as needed, and then do Eliezer to David to Joshua at the end, and like just kind of end it there. I don't know. Yeah, it's not the worst, but that is a downside of having Jehoshaphat in reserve. Maybe at that point I can just Emmaus Road into Jehoshaphat and have him available before then. So anyways, I think definitely some of the main changes I want to make are Matan in reserve and another battle winner in reserve. I think if I am able to make it to North Central Regionals, which I'm still hoping I can, it's not this weekend, but it's the weekend after, based on when this video is coming out. But like I said, moving into a new place next week, and I might need that weekend to kind of get things settled in. But I don't know. I want to make it. I want to make it to a regional tournament. I think that would be a good time. So we'll and I want to get more practice in with this deck because seemed like a good nationals deck. I don't know. Seems like something I might want to try out. So, anyways, I think that's where we're gonna wrap it up. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.